Wait till everybody starts rolling in. Oh.
We live?
We are live.
All right.
Ready to roll.
Folks. What is going on? Monday Night Live. We're back.
Wait for all these guys to jump in here. Aaron is here already. Aaron, I seen something today on Facebook. I've been kind of off Facebook quite a bit here lately, but you had got something going on. What was that?
Got a little bout of sickness, man. Hope you get to feeling better, bro.
Dick Stroud in the house.
What's up, Dick?
And Mr. Denny.
Morrison Sons is in here.
I don't think Denny misses any live streams. Actually, I take it back. He missed
a couple there.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 in a week, or 2 or 3 in a row there for some reason. Mr. David, how's it going?
T. Harris is in there.
Yeah. We're rolling in here. Well, the count's way up to 32 already, but they're still rolling in here.
Diverculitis.
Hope you get it figured out, dude.
Dang.
Hope you get feeling a little better. And I think he's went through the Rona stage already. So at least he's got that behind him. Mr. Andy.
Got Andy in here.
Yeah. So what's been happening? Anything new with you?
Not really. I went fishing yesterday. Man, it was stupid windy out there. It was ridiculous. I went over to Egypt. The bite was super, super tough. I really, we talked last week about me wanting to upgrade a trolling motor, and I'm still wanting to upgrade that trolling motor, but I don't think it would have mattered.
I'll say Sunday. I don't think it would have mattered Sunday.
No. I was talking to Ron a while ago, and he was out there too, and he said when he got home, he was checking the news, and there was gusts over 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Only a few places I could fish.
Yeah, I smoked a brisket Sunday, and I went out there, and I could watch my temperature gauge go from about 199 down to about 194, just like that. That's just with the gust of winds coming through there. I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah, it was tough.
I'm glad that pit boss was extra heavy. It probably got blown over.
Yeah, I had to break out the shaky head to get bit. It was one of those
shaky head.
Yeah, it was a tough day. So we got Bubbaville Bassin. What's up, bro? Good to see you on here.
Mr. Bob? I haven't seen Bob around here lately. I know he was on the live stream last week, but usually I see him cruising around town every once in a while.
You got small water charters in here.
Yeah.
He's been catching a few crappie down there in that warm climate.
Yeah, that's horrible conditions down there.
Yeah.
Which actually, I guess we're supposed to get some of those conditions here this week. All that stuff from the south supposed to be blowing up here.
Yeah.
And then turn into snow when it gets here, I guess.
That's what I heard.
It's always nice. Bubbaville waiting on the stupid mail. Good luck, man. I know how that goes. I wait on it every Monday.
Sometimes I have to wait.
The mailman, I should say.
Got Tom in here.
Yep.
Well, guys, we got a good guest tonight. We got Jay Beffa in here. He is from the St. Louis area. He's real familiar with a lot of the Ozark lakes, and he is the Bass Nation regional champ, and that was on Toledo Bend. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit about just the Bass Nation and how you get involved in that, some of the tournament experience he's had over the years, and then we'll kind of talk a little bit of winter fishing, winter baits, that kind of stuff. Whatever you guys want to get into, just leave questions, let us know, and we will definitely do our best to get to all that stuff. So
I think Jay's got a few guys in here. Let's pull him in here real quick. Jay, I see guys commenting on here already. The gentleman, the myth, the legend, the stick. You got all kinds of names rolling through the comments.
We may need to censor a couple of them.
Dude, I have to say,
how's everybody doing? Thanks for having me on.
The beard game is strong, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like a little 5-year-old with this.
Yeah.
I can relate on the gray thing though. I keep trying to grow it out farther, and it just keeps getting grayer on the sides.
I started at Thanksgiving, so.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, I wondered what was under that buff, man. So how's it going?
Pretty good, real good.
Good. How's the weather up there in St. Louis?
Oh, I'm not too far from you. I'm in Festus actually, so it's about the same. It was actually nice today. Probably should have been fishing.
Yeah, no kidding. It was a big difference today versus yesterday. Yesterday was ridiculous.
Yeah, I was busy stuck at work today too, so.
We got
But I did get to drive around in the big road grader for first time ever. Drove
Nice.
that all day today. That was rather interesting. I give props to those guys that operate them things. That's a lot of controls.
I can imagine. Rick's giving you a Santa Claus shout out.
Ricky Lamar.
Yes, sir.
There's old Denny too. Denny's on here.
Got Bob
Yeah.
Johnson, Winnie Edge Fishing.
Yeah.
Got some new folks on here. It's
Yeah.
kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So just to give everybody a heads up, if you guys will look at the top of the comments, and I left it at the very top so you guys can go find it very easily. Jay is going to talk about the link up above. So if you want to kind of start off with that so we can kind of get that out to everybody and let them know where to find that. Like I said, it's at the very top of the comments. And I will put a link scrolling down through here too. So I'll let Jay tell you about it though.
Yeah, it's an event that I got involved with last year. Unfortunately, I didn't get to fish it because I had another conflict, but we helped them out. We actually started a bait company called Hogs Custom Bait. And for every one of the anglers, we actually donated a couple bags of bait for it. And me and Eric DeRouche did that. And it seemed to be a real great deal. The biggest thing is one of my buddy's nephew, he passed away at 3.5 years old. So, just anybody that goes through that, my heart goes out to him. But the Warrior William, that was the kid's name. William, he passed away from Rett syndrome at 3.5 years old. So, I just like helping out events like that. I've actually fished a Leukemia Society tournament for probably over 25 years. That was at Truman, but the Warrior William one is October 8th and 9th, 2021 at Red Oak at Lake of the Ozarks. Great event. We'd like to see a bunch of people out there. We'll be getting some great donations again. Bag 5 baits. They got some awesome custom baits. They donated last year. Hogs baits, we donated a bunch of baits. There's a lot of other very good vendors that donate a lot of things. So a great tournament. I believe they feed you. William or Shad can probably get in the comments here and just, I believe they feed you one night. So really neat event, but like to see everybody out there, many people as possible.
All right. Good deal, man.
That's great. Yeah, we need to, as that gets closer, I'm sure we'll be talking, but if we don't talk about that, remind it, and we'll definitely do our best to post it on our social media sites and make that thing happen.
Yeah, maybe do it in, let's see, that's in October. So maybe starting maybe like September, early September, or something like that. Start promoting it pretty good. Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah, definitely.
So other than that, what do you got going on, man? You been fishing here lately or?
Yeah, I actually went to Kincaid. Went to Kincaid last week one day, and I got hung up on that Livescope and ended up looking for crappie more than bass. But just trying to get a lot better on it. There's a lot of guys that are whipping me on it, and a lot of guys are starting to pick up the bass fishing on it. And I haven't quite figured out yet, but I have caught several fish on it. And one day at Lake of the Ozarks, I actually chased around a 4-pounder. We chased him about 200 yards, and he finally stopped behind a stump, and I threw a shaky head at him, and he actually bit it, and we caught him. So that was pretty crazy. But, I know you guys talked a lot about the Livescope already, and, Humminbird and Lowrance all coming out with their versions of it. And I've had it for over a year now, and I fished a lot of Wednesday night tournaments at Lake of the Ozarks this year just due to the COVID. And I was fortunate enough to get down there, and I got a buddy that lives down there, Don Beckley, and we were pretty competitive. And we caught darn near every fish on that Livescope, and did a lot of drop shotting with it and a lot of jig fishing with it. And we caught darn near everyone on that Livescope. And I don't know what we would have done without it. You're kind of lost now so it's a interesting game changer.
So how do you apply that to your fishing game?
It's really changed it. And I think you almost have to have it if you're going to spend the money and fish competitively. I've been fishing for a long time, and I've been fortunate enough to be around the right people, and I surrounded myself with some great people. And I mean, it's been a huge help. But, you know, you do have to get to a point where you can't sit there and stare at that thing and depend on it. You still have to have some knowledge of, you know, historical patterns and, you know, just, you know, things that you're confident with. So I think that's the biggest thing with it. You know, you got to kind of be a little bit open-minded with it, use it as a tool, but, you know, not depend on it, because you can waste a lot of time with it.
You know, I hear a lot of guys, just like you mentioned a while ago, you know, you were chasing more crappie than you were bass. Do you think crappie are just kind of an easy standard starting point for using that to maybe help you learn that?
You know, one thing I really realized with this, fish move so much more than what I thought bass wise. You know, I thought I could pull up to a point and they're sitting there waiting for that jig to come in front of you. You wouldn't believe how much bass move with this thing. I mean, even in the wintertime, you know, I did a lot of jerkbait fishing at Lake of the Ozarks in the past. My team partner, Ken Sheets, we fished together for a long time together. He's very, very knowledgeable. He's one of the best in the Midwest. Of course, you know, there's a lot of good anglers in the Midwest, but he actually retired from UPS, and he actually went on to fish the, back then it was called the Bassmaster Top 175. Now it's the Elites. He fished that for about 5 years, and he lost a couple of his title sponsors. So, you know, the entry fees were just too much for an average guy to do something like that. But, you know, he's taught me years and years of fishing that, you know, I gained on a lot of people. And saying that, you know, you really got to be a lot more, I guess, universal, a lot more diverse. And you know, jerkbait fishing at Lake of the Ozarks, the best example. You think that they're just sitting there idle and, you know, burning as low metabolism as they can, but them fish are still moving a lot. It's actually shocking how much they're moving. You know, I experienced a lot of that last year with the colder water, and, you know, they're just constantly moving. It's amazing, to where the crappie are a lot easier to catch. They just stay more in that area, more grouped up, to where the bass are really continue to move.
You know, and I think that makes a lot of sense too, because you see a lot of guys, you know, 10 years ago, there was maybe 1 out of 100 guys that was crankbait fishing in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, and I know YouTube has really pushed it out there and everything else, but like you just said with the live target, you know, you're seeing them move and not just sit in one place a lot. You know, and these guys are throwing these swim baits. You know, a lot more of them are throwing crankbaits now. They're catching a lot of winter fish, and that just makes sense, you know.
I say that, you know, that, and also I you know, this may be a mental thing for me, but I really think that A Rig has put a lot of pressure on the fish, and now their habitat is different. You know, the pressure of that fishing, they're tired of getting caught, especially Lake of the Ozark. The pressure is so crazy, and it does position those fish different. And we used to be able to live, you know, cash a check every tournament on secondary points or main lake points. And now you got to really look outside the box, because them fish are positioning different what they used to. But, you know, there's so many factors that can play into that. And, you know, it's a mental game. You know, is it, you know, the winters aren't as cold as they used to be, you know, especially this year. We just haven't had a cold winter yet, a couple of good nights, but, you know, the water temperature took a long time to get down below 50 this year than normal. So, you know, that's a big factor. But, you know, there's a lot of different things that really are a big factor, and it plays those mind games with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie had a good question on here, and we've had this question quite a bit, but not towards you. But she said she knows it's allowed in all the tournaments and everything else with the live targets and Livescope and everything. But what's your opinion on having them in tournaments?
You know, you can preach until you're blue in the face, and I really like to outlaw the A Rig, because I hate throwing the thing. But if you're not going to throw it, you're going to get beat. You're going to donate every tournament. So until they outlaw it, I'm going to, you know, be competitive with everybody else and have to use it. So, you know, I'd love to see, you know, go back to a regular old graph, but technology is just, it's going to continue to grow. And, you know, 10 years from now, I hate to see where it's at. It's not even going to be fishing, I don't think.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be interesting, but it gives us something to talk about.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I hope with all these other guys coming out that, well, I say this, but I hope that the cost comes down a little bit. I mean, just fishing in general is, a hard bait anymore. 10, 11, 12 bucks is just ridiculous anymore.
Yeah.
So, not, any guy that has a boat now, I mean, you're looking at $10,000 to $15,000 in electronics. That's just insane.
Yeah. And the thing is it's not just boats anymore. I mean, you've got your guys in the tiny boat nation, you've got your kayaks and everything else. And I mean, I see more people out on the water now in the last two or 3 years than I have ever seen. And a lot of them are in smaller vessels. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just, you just see a lot more people out on the water.
Well, the aluminum boat market has kind of made a comeback.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years.
Yeah. You see, there's so many people. Well, and like your videos you did with fixing up that aluminum boat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what people are doing all over. They don't want to spend $30,000 to $50,000, $60,000 or $100,000 on these fiberglass boats when they can do an aluminum boat. And they don't have to worry about scratching it up against stumps and this and that. And they got a nice platform to throw from. So,
well, around here we have a lot of the lakes we have are less than 3,000 acres. So you can get around those lakes just fine
Right.
in a 16-foot aluminum boat.
Yeah.
It's a little slower and you get a windy day, you have to really pick your spots. But for the most part, that's something you can fish the 10 horse limit lakes on, and you can still fish the bigger lakes. But if you're on Lake of the Ozarks or any of those big lakes, it's probably a bonus to have at least a 20-foot aluminum boat.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're not on the main lake, you'd probably be okay. Because a lot of them arms off there, you can get back in a lot of them long coves and stuff like them, long arms.
Right.
It wouldn't be that bad. Now, like you said, if it's windy, it's tough either way you go. But
yeah. I can tell you this: I've been on Lake of the Ozarks a lot this year, and there is no boat safe in the bass market. That COVID has messed up so much stuff. I mean, the pressure, just the recreational guys going down there, the wakeboarding boats. I mean, they put out a hellacious wake, and it has been nasty all year long.
Yeah, we fished the super tournament down there in the BFL back in September, and there was so much stuff broke when the people got back to the marina. I mean, there was trolling motors ripped off. There was windshields cracked. My buddy's windshield was cracked, and he doesn't even know how it got cracked. He just had a big old crack in it.
You didn't tell him about the jig you slapped it with?
Well, no, but what's funny though is I actually went back and reviewed some of the footage, and when we left PB2 to make a run to the 26 mile on the Osage, which is where we were staying at, the footage that I had, his windshield wasn't cracked. Sometime between PB2 and the 26 mile is when it cracked.
Yeah. So. I see Jay must have a good fan in here. You know this guy?
Nope, I don't know him.
Okay.
No, I know him. That's Ron. He actually, I feel sorry for the guy. He actually moved down to Texas on the other side of Austin. And he used to be a big fisherman around here, pretty much go in his backyard. And now there's no water in sight. I think he has to drive like 5 hours just to get to the lake.
Oh, I'm sure he's got plenty of hogs to look at, though.
Yeah. Hellabass has a great question. He wants to know, what type of beard oil do you use?
Oh, I think it's just baby oil. So that's all I use. No, it's whatever the wife buys me.
Yeah. I'm just straight up shampoo. I just let it ride.
Shampoo, huh? You don't put no conditioner in there and make it soft?
No, man. I think I get a all-in-one, 2-in-1.
There you go. That's like an 8-in-1 men's.
Something like
car
that.
wash and everything.
They got all kinds of weird beer products.
Mm-hmm.
He said Midland, Texas sucks or stinks. Yeah.
Well, you use that Livescope when you're dock fishing. Is that a big advantage to be able to see up underneath those docks?
Most definitely. I love fishing Lake of the Ozarks in the fall time. My favorite bait is the mag trick worm with a croc gator 1/4 ounce shaky head. I can really skip this thing. I put it to where, a lot of people can put it, but I put it up there 20, 30 feet underneath the dock, underneath the lifts. And we get a lot of bites like that. We're looking at them shallow docks and we're flipping that thing around and it works phenomenal. I think I told you, but my wife and I actually fished the Kincaid division, USA Bassin. So a couple of years ago, we fished it. We fished it now for 3 years, and she really didn't think she was ready for a regional event. So I talked her into it this year, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to go at the last minute, but I went down by myself and I fished the Lake of the Ozarks USA regional, and I actually got 3rd place. So I caught everyone on that mag trick worm. It's actually a Hog's custom bait that we're making. It's a 6 1/4, so it's a little bit smaller than a Zoom trick worm. But we skipping that underneath the docks, and that's how I caught every one of them, and it was phenomenal. It's the last 5-6 years, Kenny and I have actually competed in a lot of tournaments doing that. And I love when it's tough like that down there because we seem to be able to catch them during that time.
You think it's because they see so many jigs skipped up there that shaky head is something different?
There's my mom telling me to shave the beard.
What? My grandma does.
She hates it. She hates it, but yeah, I think that's what it is. They see so many jigs, so many people. And I will say that is the only time at Lake of the Ozarks that I fish the docks. Other than that, I'm mostly concentrating on rocks and channel swings. And, that's just what I've been taught and what I have confidence in. But it seems like, that time of the year, they really get onto those docks, and usually it's the bigger fish. We've had some 23, 24 pound bags on the mag truck worm on those docks in September. And, it's a real tricky month because, it gets really, really tough at that time of the year down there. But yeah, I think that's the main reason. It's just something different and they can't resist it.
Yeah. So I got a comment to read here, and you just let me know where I should stop. So it says, wow, congratulations on winning the Toledo Bend Fishing Pickwick with a chance at being the Bassmaster Classic. On the cover of Bass Nation magazine, and there was a full-page article in Bass Times. But can we address the elephant in the room? Is there any truth to the rumor that you're still the second best angler in your household?
That is true for sure.
Good answer.
She, her parents actually had a place for over 30 years on Kentucky Lake. And we've been going down there for about 6 years. And unfortunately, they got rid of it, just because of the decline in fishing in that area because of all the Asian carp and stuff. But I actually 2 years ago, we went down there, and in August, she actually caught a 9-pounder behind me.
Dang.
So every time I take her out, it's just women, fishing slower. And, I'm to the point now where I'm actually watching how she's fishing a shaky head or whatever it may be. And we actually went to Cedar one day, and she catches a 7-pounder behind me. So every time we go out, she catches a big one. But we had a phenomenal day that day at Kentucky Lake. It was middle of August. The wind was really bad. My wife has a really bad back. So we were out on the main lake. On Saturday, we caught a 7-pounder and a 6-pounder off one ledge. And on Sunday, it was too windy. So we ended up going into one of the creeks in Jonathan Creek where they kept their camper. And we get in there, and we went and flipped on a dock. And I threw on the corner of this dock, and I catch a 3-pounder. She threw exactly the same spot and catches a 9-pounder. And we took it into the little resort there, and the owner came down, and everybody was really excited for her, and we called her dad, and her dad was crying. Everybody was crying. It was really awesome. So we let the fish go. I took all the measurements. I had it actually a replica made for her for Christmas, and we actually went and back out fishing. She ties on a DT10. And we go to the bridge piling, and she has another 8+ hooked, and it jumped off. And actually, for that one, I actually had the GoPro going. So I wish I would have had it going for the first one. It's one of those deals where you get out there and you're just excited to fish, and you don't turn the GoPro on. But we had a phenomenal day. That was a phenomenal weekend. Probably one of our best weekends at Kentucky Lake. I bet you our best 5 that day would have went over 30 pounds on that Saturday. It was phenomenal.
Holy crap. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys were on them then.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good team partner. For
Yeah,
sure.
no
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
So
She's
Colin said,
done really well.
yeah, Colin said, tell him about the hog you caught on the Whopper Plopper 2 years ago.
Well, unfortunately, that was the back of his head. So I had two hooks buried in the back of his head, and that cost a little money at the emergency room. So luckily we got, I think we got lucky that year, and we actually got 2 checks, so that helped a little bit.
Was that in a bone color?
No, actually, I think that was the black one. I think it was the black loon, I believe.
Oh man,
God, man, that's horrible.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've only caught 2 people in my life, and unfortunately, one was my son Colin, and I caught him on a whopper plopper in the back of the head, and the other one was my wife. We went over to Pyramid. You know, Gabe got us on those Pyramid Lakes, posting all those YouTube videos, and we went over there 4th of July, and there was nobody over there. We couldn't believe it, and some fish blew up behind me on a chat, and so I picked up a chatterbait I had tied on, and I threw it over around this bush, and I got hung on the bush, and I went to rip it, and it come flying back and went right through her hand, stuck her right in the tendon, and I couldn't budge it. So we ended up having to go to the emergency room for that and get it cut out. But, you know, she's a sport, and we got done getting it cut out, and she goes, well, where are we going? She goes, let's go fishing. So we went back out fishing again.
Really?
Awesome.
That's awesome. Die hard. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Mike says, what's up? He's finally joining in here.
The only time I've really got hooked bad was I was fishing a little club tournament on Duck Creek, which is down near Puxico, Missouri.
Yeah.
A lot of cypress trees, a lot of grass, a lot of lily pads. And it was during the spawn, and I was throwing a floating Rapala, the gold sides, black back on a spinning rod. And I kind of got up underneath this tree, and they were bedding around these trees, around the cypress knees and stuff. And I was just twitching that thing, and it's about between a 5 and 6 pounder, which is a really good fish for Duck Creek. There's a lot of 3 pounders in there, but you don't catch a lot of 5, 6 pounders in there. So I had 8 pound test, a spinning rod. I'm trying to keep him away from trees. And I reached down to grab him, and he shakes. And I think it was the front hook went right through my thumb. So one set of trebles, actually it's got 3 sets of trebles on it, but one of the hooks was in the fish and the other one was in my hand, and the wind's blowing. That's a real flat lake. You can't get out of the wind. The wind's blowing like 10-ish, which doesn't sound like much, but that's a lot for there. So I'm trying to keep the rod in the boat, trying to keep my foot on the trolling motor, trying to not slam into all these cypress trees, because, you know, they hang down really low. So it can get nasty in a hurry. And this fish is, each time it flops, it's just wallering that hook in my thumb. And you don't really know what you're kind of hogtied. You don't really know what to do. So I was able to grab my scissors and cut the line. And then this fish it kind of got out of my hand and drug my hand down on the carpet, and it's moving like this. And I'm pretty sure I was saying some foul words. And I ended up I think I just grabbed I can't remember if I grabbed the pliers and just ripped as hard as I could. I think that's what I did. I just sacrificed a big chunk of meat, but that's my
you don't need it.
That's my fish hook in the hand story. It was bad. Could have been a lot worse though, I guess. It didn't get in the bone.
Well, I've had a couple of hooks in the hands, but I think the worst is when I cut the swim jig to the thigh.
Oh,
that hurt. You know, I got it hung up and I pull them back straight like that, and it was caught on that limb, and it just like a slingshot. Holy cow. Yeah. I had an imprint of like the strands and everything on the head. Oh, that was nice.
I think my worst, I didn't get hooked, but when Kentucky Lake had grass, we were fishing the Bass World Sports Classic, and we were punching with 2-ounce weights through the grass. And we had to throw them way up in the air to get them to punch through. And when we did, it was actually Jim Williams, a guy named that I used to fish with. He got a backlash, and that weight came down and hit me right on top of the head, and it knocked me. And I think that's the worst I ever been hurt fishing. Never knew it was a contact sport, but yeah, that hurt.
There's some bad Alabama rig stories floating around there too. I've heard several people that just like throw their buddy's rod out of the boat with that Alabama rig. That's a pretty common thing that happens.
Like Mike Morfeld said, he says it's cool to be able to calculate elevations in the high-rise buildings in Chicago from Fenton while listening to the hillbillies from Prairieville.
Yeah, Mike's working. Mike lives up in Fenton. He's working at home like so many.
I kind of take offense to that because you're from Jackson.
Well, yeah,
I can't believe you put us in the same. That's just not right.
Yeah, there's no hillbillies in Jackson. They're all up in Prairieville.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Mike, we were talking about you earlier. A while back, you had Rishardi Floor Covering as one of your sponsors, and we were trying to figure out the connection there. They're probably one of my best customers. I've known Lynn for a long time and Dave, so they're probably one of my best customers.
Yeah, well, Justice and Brett are playing the Tungsten Groove Band.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
So I've played with all those guys too. We've been in bands together and stuff. So Mike's good friends with them through music. So
cool.
That's kind
I
of the relationship.
I worked with Mom Tammy for the last 14 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Small world.
We got some horror stories coming in now. Got a 300 post crankbait through his hat into my scalp to the back of the head, pulled it out with a pair of pliers on the water, kept fishing. That's right. Sometimes you got to suck it up, buttercup, and keep going. If you can get it out, sometimes you just can't get it out. Sometimes it just, you got to go to the emergency room.
So Julie says Jay goes between two different kinds of beard oils. Gibbs Alpha Male Beard Hair and Tattoo Oil, and the other is Duke Cannon Best Damn Beard Oil. There we go. The secret is out.
Yeah, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. So, if you were going to Lake of the Ozarks tomorrow, what would you be looking for?
Me to get in your truck.
Pretty much channel swings at this time.
Okay.
You know, the water temperature is cool enough. I really like the transitional banks this time of the year. You know, it could be channel swings with a little bit of a transition on it. But, you know, my number one key bait is the same thing Mike said last week. This is a Pearl Escedescent. Basically, it's a bag 5 custom bait with the orange belly. Basically, it's the stain reaction is what it is. Almost a similar color to that. But this is my go-to bait at Lake of the Ozarks. You know, since that Alabama rig, I really miss this because it just don't seem like you can catch many fish as you used to be able to. So you got to work for them a little bit. But once you find them, this is the ideal bait. I love this bait. On cloudy days, I like the, I can't think of the name of it now.
French Pearl?
No, not the French Pearl. The one with the green and green back.
Is it it's not the Edo Natural, is it?
Yeah, Edo Natural. That's it. Okay. That's the one. I really like that one in cloudy days. It's amazing. This one, sunny or cloudy days, seems to work. But that's about the only two I go back and forth on. And then every once in a while, I'll throw this one in. I forgot the name of that one, but my mind's blank tonight. But it's got like the white stripes on the side with the chartreuse bottom, the blue back. I forgot what they call it.
Yeah, that's not the original Pro Blue though, is it?
Yeah. No, it's not the Pro Blue. It's a little bit more detailed than that.
Okay.
But I can't think of what it is. But
so
then,
that chartreuse belly is a key for you, something with some chartreuse for the most part?
Yeah, it's a little bit more. I really like more of the orange belly. I know I like the chartreuse belly. This one does have the chartreuse on it, but I like the orange a little bit better. If I get around docks, I'm going to a little smaller version of it. The old Pointer 78, this kind of resembles that bait. It's kind of in between bait, between the 90 and the 70.
Shad? That's not a bevy shad, is it?
No, it's real close to it though. It's an off-brand bait, but I've had really good luck with that. And then if I'm more of that channel swing with like the bluff ends and things like that, I love the shad wrap. You know, the old school shad wrap, been a great bait. This one is actually one of my old ones. I have weighted. So I have the hook weighted and the front weighted. It just keeps it down in those rocks, and those fish are moving up looking for them big black rocks that are keeping them warm. You know, they're just looking for a little bit warmer weather or warmer water. And, you know, they're looking for them gizzard shad too, when them gizzard shad get up there. So that's where the big fish are going to be 90% of the time. So that's kind of what we look for. You know, the original wigglewort is always a good bait. Some custom ones here. I know the tournament that I actually got second in, the BFL at Table Rock, that was back in 2008. I actually caught every fish. You know, it was in April, so a little bit later, but you can throw this all year round down at Lake of the Ozarks. I mean, the rock crawler and the original wigglewort, phenomenal baits. You know, a little bit wider wobble. I'm going to throw it on a 5 to 3 to 1 gear ratio. So, you know, that's just an excellent bait for Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, it's amazing. We fish Ozarks every year, usually down around late April or early April, sorry. And I couldn't tell you how many wiggleworts we see caught up in rocks everywhere down there.
Yeah.
Holy
yeah,
cow.
I actually like the Spro rock crawler a little bit better because it actually goes a little bit deeper, but also that live target, hunt for center. That one just seems to be a real good one. You're getting about 12 foot on that one, to where, you know, the wigglewort and the rock crawler runs somewhere around 8 to 12. Just depends on what kind of line you're throwing. I like 8-pound fluorocarbon. I'm just pretty much even on the bigger crankbaits. I'm even throwing 8-pound test. I just like that smaller diameter, being able to get it down a little bit deeper.
Yeah, Elegy bone, is that the color?
Elegy bone, that is the color. Yeah.
That's what I was.
Thanks, Amby.
I just texted that to Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Amby.
So when you're you mentioned going and finding channel swings. Do you need to see shad on those channel swings before you go fishing?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I think I don't know. You know, I think that's a key factor anytime you're fishing. You know, if there's bait around, most likely there's not going to be fish around.
Right.
That's a key factor anywhere you go, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. That's me and Ron were talking. Ron lives on Lake of Egypt, and I was telling him the last couple of times I've been over there, I haven't really been able to find the shad. And, you know, a lot of times the shad is just stuck on the bottom. It's not so easy to just side scan and see the shad up off the bottom. But he was asking me if I threw a jerkbait, and I said I didn't throw a jerkbait because I just wasn't seeing fish in the right the right part of the water column. So that's why I was throwing that shaky head, because I was seeing some shad on the bottom and some fish just kind of scattered. But so that's why I was asking if it's necessary to actually see the shad, or if you're fishing areas that just look right. You know, if you're even pull in there and throw for 10 minutes and move on, or is it just strictly if you don't see shad, I mean, you're not going to fish it?
You know, that's my biggest, I'd say, advantage and disadvantage both, is, you know, the years of experience at Lake of the Ozarks that we've had. You know, Kenny's taught me a lot there, but just the years of experience, you know, the spots don't always depend on a spot, because that can actually hurt you. But also, you know, a lot of times it is key. But, you know, it's just history running those spots. You know, a lot of times, you know, we just know that there's something there. If it's a tree or what it may be, it always holds fish. But, you know, the best, I say not the best time, but the easiest time is when those shad start dying off. And when you start having that shad kill, you know, that jerkbait really comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I haven't been down to Lake of the Ozarks in the winter to fish, but when you talk about your shad kill and everything like that in the winter, do you see a lot of them floating down there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see them, you know, doing the dead man float, just, you know, just fluttering around.
Yeah, I can't wait till the lake up here freezes over. I got to take Gabe to it and show him what happens up here. It's quite the sight. I mean, you're talking probably 70 yards off the bank, and the entire water is just littered with dead gizzard shad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ron's got a question. He wants to know, when in the winter do you guys reverse and start looking shallower?
You know what's crazy at Lake of the Ozarks is there's a lot of times those fish don't really go deep. I think, you know, at Lake of the Ozarks, I don't know what it is about that lake, but they always seem to be shallow. So there's a pretty broad definition of what's shallow. you know, a lot of times, even over, I consider fish being shallow, they could be suspended over 20, 30, 40 foot of water, but they're going to be in that 4 to 6 foot water column, you know, that first 4 to 6 foot. But you wouldn't believe how many times, I don't know if it's just the way that lake, I don't know, it's a weird lake. Them things get up on the bank. I mean, a lot of times that's why that shad wrap comes into play. You're actually banging that thing off of 6 to 8 foot of water, and that's why I'm weighting it to keep it down there. But they're on those channel swings in that 4 to 6 foot, 8 foot range a lot of the time. So it's crazy how shallow they can get in the wintertime at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah, I would say that shallow water, you know, with all the rock and stuff, it's gonna warm up fairly quick if you have a couple sunny days. You know, even the water temperature is, you know, 42 where your boat is, it right up on the bank, it might be a degree or two warmer, especially in the back of some of those pockets and stuff. So it would make sense that those fish would move up and move back down. So
yeah, I think that's the key right there. You got to have deep water close by, especially in the wintertime. But it's crazy how shallow we have actually caught fish down there in the wintertime, the heat of the winter too, or the cold of the winter, I should say.
It's funny you showing that shad wrap. I fished a BFL on Kentucky Lake. Probably it's been about 5 years ago. And it was this really early. Well, actually, it was a late winter tournament. So I'm thinking probably the second week in March, and the water was really stained. And I was a co-angler. The guy I was fishing with, he had 2 spinning rods, and they both had shad wraps on them. And he had like a yellow one, and then he had a crawl colored one. And he would take those shad wraps. He would buy them 50 at a time from Cabela's. He would take a drill press, turn them upside down, drill a little small hole in the breast of the shad wrap, and then he'd drop a BB inside of there, steel shot or something. He told me the exact size that you need, and then he would glue it in there, and he would put epoxy over it, and it would make that shad wrap suspend. And same thing you were just talking about. He would, you know, he'd make his cast, and he would just kind of slow reel and just stop, and just slow reel and stop. And I think he ended up getting 12th place on that shad wrap. But that's one of the days I've seen the power of the shad wrap, even in muddy water. I mean, it was probably 1.5 foot visibility, but he was just keeping that bait in their face, you know.
What they call that color? Mustard. I think that's what everybody throws down there.
Yeah, it's a really bright, ugly color.
Yeah,
it was working for him. He said it's funny. He called Cabela's, and you know, he got the operator on the line, and he said, "I want to order the mustard color." And she said, "How many do you want?" And he said, 50. She said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, 50." And he said, "Do you have the crawl color too?" And she said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I want 50 of those too." So he would order them like 50 to 100 at a time. And just, you know, he'd take an afternoon and get the drill press out and get them all set up properly. So good bait, really good bait. Got that tight wobble.
Must be another one of your guys on here. Anytime that Shad is around, it's a party. Must be the name.
Yeah.
It's from Shad.
He should be a professional fisherman with a name like that.
Don't you, man? Classic. Classic. Find the bait. There he is.
Yep. Fishing with Fitz. How's it going, man? Seeing you join.
Bob's got a question. With the power plant down in Egypt, how do you guys think it will impact the winter fishing? Well, I've got a couple videos coming out, and I actually did some water temp readings. So at the front of the lake, and I actually ran back down to the other end of the lake. And it seems like, from what I can tell, and Ron DeRosa, he was on here. He's out there all the time. He would know. There's going to be about a 5-degree swing from what I'm seeing. So like the other day, I saw 46 up front, and then I saw like 42, like 41.9, 42.1, something like that, all the way in. It was in Shawnee Creek. So not all the way to the very back, but halfway. So, and that was in the marina. I didn't go all the way up by the buoys and by where the hot water discharge is. So I don't think it's going to be that 10 and 12 degree swing like we've been used to seeing the last, forever. But I still think there's going to be about a 5. Yeah, Ron says about 5 degrees or so. So I think there's going to be 5 degrees. So that's okay.
I don't think it's going to hurt it. I really don't. I think the pressure on that lake alone is what kills that lake so much. And it doesn't even kill it. It's still great fishing, but I think just the pressure of all the tournaments over there through the entire winter is what hurts that lake.
Yeah, it's a tough lake. It's you're talking about the Alabama rig earlier, and I've thrown that a little bit lately, and I haven't got bid on it. I throw it for like 10 minutes. I don't care for it that much either, but it does work this time of year. But they haven't been on it for me.
How many of them do you think have swam by them here in the last 2 months?
Oh yeah, thousands. I saw there was like 6 boats out there yesterday. I saw two of them were throwing the A rig, front and back. Guys at both ends of the boat, so they see their fair share of that. But in the right situation, that's definitely what you got to be throwing.
Yeah.
Ron wants to know if you throw the Shadow Wrap on a spinning gear.
Now, Kenny's basically one of my mentors. So, he is a shallow fisherman. A lot of times until recently, if we were deeper than 4 foot, we were too deep. so, I don't know, I kind of like pushed him out a little bit deeper, basically let him or forced him to spread his rings a little bit. And we did start fishing deep quite a bit in the last 5 to 6 years. So, saying that, I throw the Shad Wrap on 20-pound test mono and with a bait caster.
Really?
Yeah, we're throwing it shallow rocks. We're targeting those channel swings that, no deeper than 8 foot. That's basically what we're focusing. Deep water close by, of course, but just that transitional bank.
Now, is that the size 9 or size 7?
So I got both of them here. I got the 9 and the 7.
Okay.
So 7 shad color, which just depends. I like the bigger one myself. It just seems like I've caught a lot more bigger fish on that one. So.
See.
What rod?
Sissy wand.
Yeah, I've thrown them both. I've even thrown the 5, but I definitely got to go to spinning gear and I throw that 5. I got a little loose jerkbait rod that I can throw the 7 on as long as the wind's not too bad. The 9's a lot easier, but what rod are you throwing?
7.3 heavy.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. Just Kenny's. He's always been that power fisherman, and that's kind of just something that I picked up from him, and that's kind of what we look at.
That's cool. That's interesting. I know I haven't ever thrown a Shad Wrap on 20-pound test. It's usually like 10-pound test or 12-pound test.
Like 12, yeah.
Now, keep in mind, we're fishing more that mid-lake to river area. We're not going down towards the dam where you got that clear water. If I was going down that way, I'd probably have to, take my line down quite a bit and possibly throw it on a spinning rod just because of the clearer water. And, down in that clear water, it doesn't seem like they get up as shallow as they do down in that dirtier water.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that makes sense though with that 20-pound because, the Shadow Wrap's a flat side crankbait. And as you go up in line size, you really deaden the action. So that 20-pound test is going to make it even, even more of a flat-sided crankbait. You're really going to have a subtle action. I would imagine, say 20-pound versus 10 pounds is really going to deaden that action on that thing.
And I think we're affecting the action a little bit too, because we're weighting it so much. It's really just getting in the face. Mm-hmm. We put a lot of weight on it. I like this one. I got a weight on the front hook and I got two tags on it.
Yeah.
And weighting them, even the jerkbaits, a lot of times, sometimes they'll want them, they have all kinds of different versions out now. They came such a long way. Technology is just amazing, especially the mega bass and stuff. It's just amazing what they can do with it. Sink rate, they have them all different sink rates now, or even rising. But, this copper wire, or not copper, but the soldering wire, I use that a lot just to wrap around my hooks or, the suspended dots.
Yeah.
So, it just depends on what they want. Sometimes they're wanting it sinking a little bit faster than other times. But one other thing I do is I actually don't like a split ring on my tie. I tie it directly to the bait a lot of times. I feel like it gives it a lot better action. So that's something that I do that, just confident thing, I think, more than anything. And I think that's part of fishing. If you have confidence in something, that's what you need to roll with.
I use a snap. I've
Yeah.
used snap for forever. Any treble hook bait, for, for the obvious reason, it gives it more freedom, but I also like to change colors a lot. And
Yeah.
it's just quick, when I'm throwing crankbait, if I got, 3 or 4 or 5 different colors, I'm trying to figure it out, I can just boom, 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 and it's just quicker. I'll put split rings on that front hanger too on a jerk bait just to kind of help suspend it. Put 2 little split rings on there seems to help. But the suspend strips, have you ever weighted the tail of the jerk bait with that lead wire?
Yeah, I have.
Now, how do you see, I haven't done that, but I've been seeing that done a little bit. So it's given it that action right there when you're jerking it, I guess. So
Yeah, it just gives it kind of a little bit different. It'll actually make it do some weird things, but it's crazy how much variance there is in jerk baits out of the box. I think you got to tune every one of them and just figure out what the fish want that day. I mean, that's the crazy thing about it, which, I think that's why this A Rig, so many people throw it, because it's so easy to catch fish on a lot of times. I mean, I think the pressure is getting to them a little bit, like you going over to Egypt the other day and not having too many bites. I think, it's the time that you need to start looking for that new bait. What's the newest and greatest thing out? We get hung up on, we started at the Cinco, for example, then we went to the trick worm, and now we're at the Ned rig. Everybody's catching them like crazy on the Ned rig. So it's kind of like one of those things. What's the next bait that's going to be that hot bait that everybody's going to destroy him on?
I sometimes I think it's finding that bait that was hot like 10 years ago and cycling them back through it. The spinner bait. A lot of guys got away from the spinner bait when the chatterbait came away. That's one of my go-to baits, man. I've been whacking them on spinner bait the last couple of years while everybody's been throwing a chatterbait. I still throw a chatterbait a lot too, but I'll have a swim jig, a chatterbait, and a spinner bait on the deck, especially when the fish are up shallow. And usually they're going to prefer one over the other, but that spinner bait is a good old new bait.
No, that spinner bait doesn't work.
Yes, sir. It does.
I think as fishermen, we actually overthink it a lot. It's that KISS theory. Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's so true. It is so true.
Yeah, Bass guy was giving out. He said lead putter tape from a golf supply store works real good. You can custom cut it to whatever size you need.
Yeah, it's probably cheap too, I'd imagine, and expensive.
Yeah, definitely.
Tom wants to know if you've ever tried the Lucky Craft flat CB MR and chartreuse shad at Lake of the Ozarks. So flat crankbait, I guess.
Actually, one year at Canada, that was a really hot bait for us. I have not thrown it at Lake of the Ozarks, but I bet you for that Canada trip, I probably bought 20 of them, and I probably still have 20 of them. But we did catch them. They like the smallmouth, like that bait up there in Canada.
Let's see what we got else here.
Steve says he was saying that they shut down the plant 2 years ago at Coffee, and the lake has suffered. I've heard that from a couple different people. Sean Titsworth, that's on here every once in a while.
I haven't seen him in a while.
No, but that's his lake, and he was saying that it got really, really tough. I think, back to Egypt, if you've got, as long as that water up front will stay 42-ish, 43-ish, I think everything's going to be fine. It's, because those fish are, there's a lot of times, even last couple of years, when they'll shut off that power plant to do some maintenance for a couple of days, and that water temp will go from 56, 57 to like 52. To like 42, 40. 43, 44, just in a couple day period, when it's really, really cold. And it will shut those fish down. That's a huge temperature drop, but they turn right back around, when it starts warming back up. So I think as long as it stays in that lower 40s, I think it should be okay. I don't know. We'll find out. We don't have a choice.
I don't mind fishing lower 40s, and you can still get bit. But as soon as it starts dropping below that, you start hitting that 39 mark. It's tough.
42 is, for me mentally, 42 is when it really starts slowing down for me. I don't know. What do you got a temperature that you're like, oh, it's going to be really tough now?
that opportunity of window at Lake of the Ozarks is basically, Labor Day to Memorial Day. So saying that, I fished a lot of winter tournaments at Lake of the Ozarks, a lot of the team trails, Anglers in Action, English Choice, Bass World Sports. That's when the majority of their tournaments are. So, I've got accustomed to fishing like that, and people cannot believe that we fish when it's, -10 or, there's not too many tournaments at Lake of the Ozarks that are ever canceled. They seems like the last couple of years they have gotten a little bit soft and they have canceled a couple, but I can remember them putting, sawdust and salt on the ramps just to be able to get us in the lake. And, you make sure that you don't unhook your boat before you back down, wait until it's in the water. And it's, we've seen that a lot, but, being accustomed to that, I think, it does not bother me at all. I love fishing in the wintertime. And I think it's just because of my experience at Lake of the Ozarks and how much we fished it in the winter. So water temperature really doesn't bother me too much any time of the year. But yeah, I think, especially when there's been times at Lake of the Ozarks where we've actually went to a favorite cove that we have, if it might be a cove that we really, really like fishing, and it'll be iced over and we'll actually run through it with the boat. And, like wind will actually blow up onto the ice and finally melt it. Well, also your wake will. So if you run down the lake and find an area that you'd like and do a couple donuts in it, eventually when you come back an hour and a half later, that ice will be gone. You'll be able to fish it. So there's been situations where we've done that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Makes total sense.
Yeah, I seen Andy on here wanted to know if you've ever tried a 13 fishing jabberjaw crankbait.
Nope, I never tried that one.
Nope. And Eric Rouge looks like he got on. He said, "Hey, I finally figured out how to comment. I can make baits, but I can't use a computer to save my rear."
Oh, welcome to the show.
I'm just glad we haven't had any technical difficulties tonight. So, and we remember to turn the volume up.
Yeah. So, do you got a favorite way to catch fish?
I always think about that, and there's not too many ways that I just love catching fish. It's I think I don't know. I think over the years I'm a little bit versatile than most guys. I've done a lot of homework. I live, eat, breathe fishing, and that's what I've done for a long time. And I'm learning every day still. So, whatever season it is, it's hard to chase those seasonal patterns. You always got to have an open mind, but I really just like whatever they're biting on. I love the deep crankbait bite. I love fishing a jig. I love fishing a shakeyhead. I love fishing a jerkbait. I love flipping docks. Top water, I absolutely love that. I would say that's probably my most favorite is top water. But I just like, I go to Lake Fork. I tried going to Lake Fork quite a bit. I actually went back in June. I got on a hellacious swim bait bite. That was absolutely a blast. The biggest one we caught was 7.6, but we caught 40 fish off one spot. Yeah, it was phenomenal. My son-in-law Micah never caught one on a swim bait, and I think I cost him a lot of money after that trip. Bought a bunch, but I think that's the biggest thing, just being versatile. And I even throw a drop shot a lot, especially in the summertime. Targeting those fish, and especially with the Livescope now, I threw a drop shot a lot this summer.
Yeah. Is there a technique that you haven't had a lot of experience with that you're maybe working on at the moment, or you plan on working on next season?
I'm tired of getting beat by that Alabama rig, and I keep on picking it up. Last year, about this time, Jenny just shared a post that him and I went over to Lake Egypt, and I committed to that A rig all day long, and just because I was tired of getting beat by it. And I watch so much YouTube and just do so much homework, when I'm not fishing. That's constantly all I do is just, do stuff like that to, just put it in the memory bank to help me on the next trip or whatever. But I think that's the biggest thing, you know, all these guys out there catching them on that damn A rig. And I've had a couple good days on it, but I haven't had like a phenomenal day where I say, I need to go out and fish that thing again. Let's go. You know, I'd rather pick up a jerkbait and go out and throw it this time of year when that seems like everybody's catching them this time of year on the A rig. But I don't know. That thing's just frustrating. I wish I knew something that other people don't know. But
They get off of that. I'm with you on that, man. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, well, probably 3 years ago, I'd pick up that A rig a little bit, and I mean, it's always in the way. It's big and bulky. You got to make sure that you got some kind of thing to tie it to your rod so it doesn't grab everything else in the boat. And you got 5 baits. You got to rig them up. If you break one off, it's like 20 minutes to get it set back up. It's just a pain in the butt. So I'd throw it a little bit and I wouldn't get bit, you know, then I'd go back to a jerkbait or something else. And then 2 years ago, I guess I kind of like what you're talking about. I had a couple of days where I caught them pretty good on that. And then last year we had several trips, me and my buddy Jerry, we had several trips where we caught them really good. And we fished it for probably most of the day. And we kind of started getting a feel of like how to fish it, like getting different size jig heads, depending on how shallow you're going to fish, braid versus fluoro, different swim baits, and, you know, kind of playing around, maybe put that long arm in the middle, maybe put a bigger, all the stuff you hear about. We started experimenting with that stuff and seeing if it really did make a difference. And it seems like they do a lot of times hit that. If you put a bigger swim bait in the middle, they'll grab that sometimes, and they'll grab the bottom too. A lot of times they bump it. You don't get a hook in them. And then the slowing the reel handle down, and just like swim bait fishing, how you just kind of hit it a little bit hard and then you slow it down a little bit, maybe hit it a little bit hard. I think it causes those arms to kind of fold up and then stretch out. It kind of makes it's got that kind of fleeing school of shad look where they see something, they kind of do this. And all that stuff does make a difference. So we had a couple of days where we were out there kind of experimenting. I got kind of comfortable with it, but like you said, it's not something that you catch them on all the time. There's some days when they do want that jerkbait. The last couple of times I've been out, I've thrown it and they wouldn't touch it. I mean, I'm seeing them on the graph. I'm seeing them on the side scan.
Yeah,
they wouldn't touch it. So it's not what it used to be, where you can just go down the bank at any lake at any time in the winter and just start catching fish. They've got educated to it. So like any other technique, there's a time and a place for it. And it's definitely you got to be around the fish. You know, it doesn't matter what you're throwing. If you're not around the fish, you're not going to be catching fish. But it's I don't know. It's cool. If I can catch them some other way, I definitely will. Only time I fish it is this time of the year, just because it is a way to draw those deeper fish. Those fish are like in the 15-foot zone that seem like they don't want to come up for a jerkbait a lot of times.
Yep.
It's a good way to catch those fish.
So Eric Grush said, "What are you talking about? Not good with an A rig? I remember a year ago at home, you putting a flat whooping on me with it."
But that's in the hog.
Here.
That's in the hog trough. That don't count. That's cheating. I had 2 over 9 that day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Devin wanted to know, can you talk about your jerkbait setups and what you prefer?
So I guess rod, reel, line, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'm throwing Seagar line, 8-pound test. I actually was a little bit of a influence with Temple Fork Outfitter. I've been with the rod company for probably 12 years now. And for the Ozarks, we actually developed a 6.3 medium light jerkbait rod farm. And Marty Bulkey Jr. and myself were a big contributor to that. And it's got a really flexible tip on it. You know, you never really pull it out. I mean, I've reeled in 6-pounders with the hook inside their head, and it's been a phenomenal rod for us. But that's kind of the things that I look for. You know, 8-pound test, I just feel like it keeps that bait down there a little bit better. I am throwing fluorocarbon on it, so I do want it to sink just lightly. But there's times, like I talked about before, I'll put wire on it to make it sink a little bit faster. But I wanted it suspend perfect, I don't want the front end to be dipped. I don't want the back end to be dipped. I like it for it to suspend perfectly straight.
So what about reel, high speed reel, or do you think a low speed reel, or does it matter?
Nah, most of the time just 6 to 3 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just for getting your line back on the reel.
Yeah.
Let's see, William, do you ever fish the old fashioned grub anymore?
Yeah, table rock. Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Eric DeRush and I started a company back in April. It's called Hogs Custom Bait. And one of the A Rig, I told him, we really need to look at something different for the A Rig. And this little grub right here is our new swim bait. And it's got a paddle tail on it, more of a grub tail on it, I meant. And, I'm looking really forward to this. I mean, the action on it is just unbelievable. But we have it in 3 different sizes. We've been working with a guide out of Kentucky and Tennessee. He does a lot of guide trips down there. He actually runs a fleet of about 12 boats. And he's actually been testing it for us. And he's the ones really pushing us to put it on the market. So we've been messing with him a little bit on it. And he's been catching some phenomenal fish on it. So I'm excited to get out and use it. We've been so busy with it that we haven't even got to play with it ourselves yet. We've shipped out the first order to him, and it was over 3,000 baits. So that's been a really neat deal. And he's already sending us pictures that, he's showing 25, 30 fish being caught on it. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, when you bought the A Rig, the Flash Mob or Flash Mob Junior, it came with curly tails.
Yeah, sure did.
Grubs. Most people just throw them away, but it's probably telling you something right there by them putting that in the package.
Yeah. That's what old Paul Elias caught him on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's originally started it. I'll never forget that. I had a buddy, Ryan Hall. He was the Arden Pro Staff Director. And 2 days before that tournament that Paul Elias won, he goes, "Man, I got a tip on a hot bait. We need to go try it." We went over to Lake Egypt with the Alabama rig. And, I'm hating on it here 10 minutes ago, and now I'm loving it. So that's a true fisherman, huh?
Right.
We went over there and we had 40 keepers on the thing, over 40 keepers. And basically we took it out of the box and put those grubs on it. And that's what we caught them on. And it was phenomenal. And then 2 days later, Paul Elias, I mean, it's all over social media, all over the internet. Paul Elias wins on an Alabama rig. I'm like, I thought I had a secret.
Yeah, they were making those things out of coat hangers, anything, any kind of wire, welding it all together, duct taping it all together.
Yep.
The
so
same.
Here put on there. So with the 110s that you have with the heavy head down action, how do you manipulate the bait and suspend it to your liking? Also, since I named some of the Hogs baits, can I have one of those jerkbait rods?
What was he saying again?
Well, he said
the
110s that if you've got a 110 or if you got a jerkbait that wants to suspend head down, how would you weight it to where it has that horizontal presence?
Most of the time I'm doing the middle hook. So it's with the soldering wire or the suspended dots. And, there's been times that I've put them back in the box and gave them to somebody because you can mess with them. And that's amazing how a bait will vary out of the box. And there's sometimes, even on crankbaits, I just can't get it right. I don't have the patience to sit there and mess with it that long.
Sometimes buzz baits are like that too.
Buzz baits are horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you always get them tracking one way or the other.
Yeah, the actual Megabass Vision 110 is pretty consistent out of the box, in my experience. But I bought some of the Lucky Crafts, just the 100s. Man, I bought 2 of them the other day, and they sink like a rock. I don't know. No, actually, I'm sorry. They rise like a rock. I mean, I had to weight the crap out of like a rock. They rise like a bobber. How's that?
Okay, I was gonna say your rocks rise.
Around. No, but they really rise fast. And then I've had some of them, and we're talking 4 46 to 52 degree water temps is what I'm thinking. But that's just like what you said. Some of those baits, same manufacturer, same length, same model and everything. Some will float really fast and some will suspend right out of the box. Some will sink. It's pretty strange how that works.
I mean, it is, I'll do some other things too. I mean, nobody is stupid enough to throw away a $20 jerkbait. So I'll bring it home and actually put different size hooks on it, maybe a heavier hook or something too. So, I don't like messing with them when I'm on the water. I'll just put it aside. And when I get home, I'll change out the hooks or something and try it next time.
You never heard of a floating rock?
No, I can't say that I have.
Well, I think they used to sell floating rocks back in the 70s.
I should probably try to sell them. I've got plenty of them.
The kids love them, man. They're really popular.
Hey, Gabe, do you are you sure you're not buying the high rise ones when you bought it?
I need to look at those. I ordered some off of that Simmons. I think it's Simmons Sporting Goods. They have the eBay auctions. They have a lot of Lucky Crap stuff on there. And it was supposed to be a suspending the 100 series. But it was definitely floating up.
Because probably in the last 2 years, they came out with I think they call it a high rise. And it actually rises pretty quick.
Well, I'll look because I got one in my box and then I got one in the pack still. But
well, Mike said if she floats, she's a witch burner. Mike, if you ever throw the Magnum spoon at like the Ozarks.
Oh yeah. There's
you don't want to talk about it, you can tell.
Yeah, there's a lot of lead in the bottom, just put it that way. It's not very friendly with all the brush in Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah. Stephanie wants to know what size hooks you're changing them out to from the originals.
Usually I look at like a 4 and a 6. It's hard to get away from the mega bass hooks though. That's a sharp hook.
They're sticky.
They're very, very sticky. And that really doesn't go too good together because most of the time in the wintertime when I'm fishing jerkbaits, you usually have gloves on. That just
and your boat carpet. It always grabs your boat carpet.
But yeah, it just I think I'm going up to a 6. I think that's right. A 6 and a 4, I think, is what it is. And
yeah, that sounds right. I'll sometimes like the Spro McStick. A lot of times it wants to rise, and I'll take a size 4 and put it on the front. It's kind of big. You kind of got to watch it. It can grab your line sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's about the right hook that I found. In that mid 40 degree water to get that thing to suspend.
With the 8-pound test, I've done a lot of experience with the mixed sticks. They do seem to get down a little bit better. They're almost like the Mega Bass +1. They seem to get down a little bit deeper. And, that can be very beneficial at the clear lakes like Table Rock and even at Lake of the Ozarks when you start fishing down by the dam and stuff.
Yeah, I think they got that rogue, kind of a closer to a rogue action. I don't know. Just because of the bill placement, the bill's back a little bit further. They're actually pretty similar. I brought a bunch of jerkbaits too, but
yeah.
To know if those were in that USA series package. Those jerkbaits.
USA series packages. I don't know. He's talking about the Lucky Crafts. I guess.
Guessing, the ones you bought.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
too busy ripping them open to get to them.
Well, I always get on there. Man, you can drop a couple $100 on that auction if you're not careful. So if you guys are looking for some Lucky Craft stuff, that Simmons, they have those eBay auctions, and they're usually like 6 days out. And you just throw your bid in there, and then it gets it kind of rides for a while, but you get down to that last day, and it gets pretty hot and heavy. But I'll pick out. I'll have like 10 or 15 things that I bid on, and sometimes I won't pay attention to them. And next thing you know, I ended up buying like 6. I won 6 things, and I really wasn't planning on it. It's kind of like I just went on a shopping spree or something late one night. It was really, really late, and I just started bidding on stuff, and I kind of forget about it. And then 6 days later, all of a sudden, I notice in my email that says you owe $75 for jerkbaits.
It's like getting
crap. I forgot about that.
Getting drunk and being on Amazon at midnight.
Same thing. Home shopping network.
3 days later, you get all these packages showing up. Going, who the hell ordered this?
Yeah, believe me, I know all about that. I work for the Postal Service.
Boy, you guys just brought back some good memories. You know, originally when Lucky Craft came out, you know, that was like the original jerk. Well, not really the original jerkbait. The Rogue was the original jerkbait. But when Lucky Craft made their big push, I'll never forget this. Osage Beat and Bait and Tackle. They're where the city hall is now, where the police station is now. They're right outside PB2. They had a little tiny building there. I mean, this thing was really little bait store. And it had rocks on top of the roof. I'll never forget that. We go in there before fishing one weekend, and there is like 150 brown paper bags, like lunch bags, behind the counter with people's names on them. We're like, what's up with that? And they're like, these are the new Japanese Lucky Craft jerk baits. And we're like, huh, you got any more? So stupid enough, you know, $15. Here's $40 or whatever, 30 bucks, whatever. We end up buying a couple. My buddy John Lewis was with me, and we get out to the first spot, and I'm tying mine on. He ties his on. He stands up. He throws his, and snap, it goes about 200 feet up into the woods.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. So, of course, I think that was we actually each bought two, is what it was. So we ended up fishing, and I mean, we had one of those days that were like, wherever these things come from, we need 200 more of them. So I'm sure that was the first of our collection, but it was absolutely crazy how many fish we caught that weekend on them. And I mean, it was like a hot new bait. I mean, it was phenomenal. But it's kind of strange how, you know, you go through those cycles and see those bait companies like that. I mean, that's all we ever threw was Lucky Craft, and then Mega Bass came and just destroyed the market. And I mean, it was absolutely insane. $5 more bait, and everybody and their brothers buying them. I mean, it's just insane.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you said you throw a lot of the bag 5 baits, and I saw Mike on here. How do those compare to the actual Vision 110s?
You know, it's just like anything else. It's more of a confident thing than anything. I have a lot of confidence in them, and you know, you adjust them the way that you want to. If it's putting different hooks on them, or putting lead on them to sink them a little bit, or you know, whatever it may be, you know, you got to play with them just a little bit. But you know, the Lucky Craft, Lucky Strike, you know, whoever it may be, 6 cents, bag 5, whatever, you know, you got to have confidence in when you're throwing, and I have confidence in it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the paint job, but you know, it's just confidence is what I have in it. And I've been throwing them for probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 years now. And that's kind of my go-to bait.
Yep. That's awesome, man. I 120% agree with that. It's amazing. You know, I was just thinking about, I was fishing that shaky head yesterday, and I had thrown a jig and caught some on a jig, but it just felt like if I slow down and threw something that I had a ton of confidence, because the hardest thing to do is to throw something that you don't have confidence with and slow down and give it a chance to work. And it's kind of a catch-22. It's never going to produce because you don't give it enough time to produce, because you don't have confidence in it. I mean, the best way to get confidence in something is to obviously catch fish on it. And if you're not fishing it the way you need to fish it to catch fish, you're never going to get confidence in it. But just like what you said with that jerkbait, if you got confidence in it and you know that that's the bait, you got it in your hand and you're working on it, and you think it's going to work, then you're going to catch way more fish than if you just, you know, threw something you don't have confidence in. Just kind of stating the obvious there, but that's a good point, man. Really good point.
I think that brings up a really good topic. You know, how do you translate dock talk? You know, a lot of times I have developed a really good circle of fishing friends. I mean, it's I've came across a lot of awesome people. And, you know, part of my success this year was some of the guys I met. And I guess, you know, fishing Lake of the Ozarks as long as I have, you know, nationwide names like Dennis Burharst, you know, whenever he helps you out, he was a big contributor to me, Toledo Bend. So, you know, some of the information he gave me, I took it and ran with it. But, you know, the way that you translate that information is very key. And, you know, going back to the confidence thing, you know, it's hard to chase other people's patterns. I mean, I've, tried, listened to Doc talk so many times and failed at it. I'm like, goes back to the Alabama rig, all these guys catching them. We're just fishing windblown main lake points. You go out there and fish 1,000 of them and you don't get a bite on it. You're like, what the heck am I doing wrong? But there are times where you got to take that information and play it to what you're best at. And it goes back to confidence. And mine a lot of times is the shaky head. I mean, I feel like I can throw that shaky head worm pretty much year round and catch fish on it. That's just my confident go-to bait. That's so answering your question earlier, that is probably my go-to bait.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. Greg's not a finesse fisherman at all, but when it's tough, I mean, I got that and a little small.
Now I throw a finesse jig.
Well, that's different, but that's what I was going to say. A little finesse jig or the shaky head. I feel like I can get a bite in it. And do you ever put anything else on that shaky head, or is it strictly a worm?
No, I just have so much confidence in that worm, and that's pretty much it. I take that back. There are times in the springtime where I really, really downsize. So that April, May time period, I'm really going to downsize and actually put a real small critter crawl or ring crawl by Crocagator on it. So just going with a real small profile. And that's all I'm putting. No skirt or anything like that. Just a very small crawl. That is a high pressure bait. A lot of them fish are coming up shallow, high pressure. That bait just seems to catch them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got on a smaller shaky head, say less than 1/4 ounce. A lot of times I fish an 1/8 ounce or I fish a 3/16, and I got basically like 4 baits that I'll put on there. I typically will start out with a 5-inch Zoom finesse worm and like a watermelon candy, and I'll just kind of touch the tip of it with chartreuse. Maybe go to green pumpkin. This is all the water clarity is probably 2.5 foot visibility or clear. And then if it's a little bit more stained, I'll put a June bug or a black in that same bait. And then I'll go right over to a Zoom speed crawl. If I can't get bit on that finesse worm, I'll go to the speed crawl, and that's green pumpkin blue is typically, or June bug, depending on the watercolor. And then if that's not working, I can go to the baby brush hog, green pumpkin blue. I usually don't, it's always green pumpkin blue. Sometimes that black with the red glitter, kind of that, I can't remember what Denny Breyer made that color really popular. I can't remember what that's called. Anyway, it's black with red glitter. And then if that's not working, and this sounds weird, but it's almost the same bait as that finesse worm, but the fish doctor, it's made by Zoom. It's like a little Cinco looking. Well, it's like a centipede almost, but it's got a flat side on it. So you can flip that over if you want that flat side facing down. It really glides. I mean, it'll end up like 3 feet away from where it hits the water if you give it slack. It just glides. And then if you flip it over to where the round side's down, it falls a lot faster, because I think you're catching, a lot of times you're catching those suspended fish on that lighter shaky head. Say you're throwing an 1/8 ounce shaky head on 8-pound test. I think those same fish that'll be hitting a jerkbait but won't hit a jerkbait or an A rig. I think you're coming down through those fish, and it's, maybe spinning a little bit. And I think they'll follow it. I don't get a lot of bites before it hits the bottom. I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes your line will just move off. But a lot of times that first couple, when you hit that thing just a little bit, something will be on it. So that fish probably followed it down. But that's kind of my little rotation of shaky head baits that I go through. I mean, I've got the speed crawl, man, or any kind of little small crawl is killer on a small shaky head.
Pack crawl with it standing up.
Yeah, pack and crawl. There's a lot of good baits to throw on a shaky head. I mean,
that fish doctor, we used to throw it a ton, probably 8 to 10 years ago at Table Rock on a split shot.
Oh yeah, I bet that works really good. It's got that good gliding action. Yeah, and it's weird. Sometimes they won't hit that finesse worm, but they'll hit the doctor. It's like, it's a little bit fatter, but it doesn't seem like it's that much of a difference. But the fish are weird like that. Sometimes they want something over the other. So
yeah, Tom said the black neon black with red glitter.
Black Neon was what I was thinking. Yeah, that's the name of it. Denny Breyer made that popular, flipping a tube years ago. He had I can't remember what he won an elite or something in that with that tube, that Black Neon.
Yep. Oh, Julie said June bug is her favorite.
Oh, she's
Give
not
up
supposed
the
to be
secret.
telling. Yeah.
We
Green
just
pumpkin. What are you talking about?
keep her on here.
June bug's a good one.
If you could just go out and grab his favorite baits, just hold them up behind his head, it'd be great.
Yeah, I think in a lot of those grass lakes that have really clear water, that's why, like in Florida, June bug's so popular, because those clear water grass lakes, those fish are so dark a lot of times, like your bluegill and your goggle eye and all that, they're really dark. Like Duck Creek's like that. They're black almost, the bait fish. So that's why I think that June bug is good in those clear lakes.
I've said times, these clear lakes, people go over there with the green pumpkin and the watermelon red flake and all these natural colors, and I'll go over there, throw black and blue and just kill them on it. I think it's more of a they haven't seen it type of thing, though.
Yeah.
Kincaid seemed to be a little bit dirtier this year, and we had to throw June bug a lot more than what we normally do.
You fishing up north side or?
I like from the marina to the spillway. I stayed pretty much on the main lake.
Mm-hmm.
Fishing my holes.
There's a lot of good points. A lot of good stuff through there.
Yep, real good stuff. Actually, one night, Julie and I had 19.8 with 3 fish out of that area.
Damn.
Yeah, and I thought that was a massive bag. And the next week, Luke brings in 21 pounds, 3 fish with a 9-pound kicker.
Whoa.
On Kincaid, yep.
Holy crap! I had no idea.
Yeah,
Big one.
How long ago was this?
it was last year, or the year before. I think it was last year, actually. No, it was the year before. It was 2 years ago.
That's impressive. That's
Yeah.
insane. I need to fish more.
Actually, that's my biggest bag I've ever had in an actual tournament. Me and Matt Helms weighed in 28-14 over there at Kincaid. It was a tournament series. It was actually a charity tournament called Casting for Comfort. That was probably about 10 years ago. That was my biggest bag I ever weighed in a tournament.
Dang.
Kincaid.
I mean, that rivals any lake in the country. That's huge.
Yep. I think a little bit more pressure that they have now. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. Matter of fact, Julie and I had one that had to be over 10 pounds floating over there. And we couldn't believe it. It was huge. It had been floating for a couple of days too. It was all nasty, but it was a big old fish.
Dang.
Yeah, that's a great lake. I mean, I've fished it on and off, but I'd say this year I spent more time on it than I ever have, especially in the spring. And it's got some nice fish in it. It's pretty impressive. I mean, they don't always bite, but they are in there.
I think Kincaid is just the most. You can do so many different things over there. If you want to go fishing grass, you can fish grass. If you want to fish dirtier water, you go north, fish dirtier water. Fish lay downs, or if you want to go fish bluff walls, you can fish bluff walls, or creek channels, you can fish creek channels. It's just, or even, you want to fish deeper rock or something like that, you can go fish it. There's just, or stumps or anything. There's all kinds of different stuff to fish over there.
Yeah, I have to stay out of that grass. That grass is always calling my name. It's whispering in my ear. And when I'm out there on the point, it's like, hey,
that's the problem.
Come in here, pick up your punch rod. Come in here.
90% of the people going over there are all going to that grass, and there's so many times, and I guarantee you, if I told Jay where this is at, he knew exactly where it's at. I've got a spot down towards the spillway too that's, way out off the bank, and people out there see me out there all the time, and I've had several people come up and be like, "What are you doing out here?" I'm like, "Oh, just throwing this around. Don't know anything about it. Just play stupid and don't say anything." But
crappie fishing. Fishing.
But I guarantee you, within a week or two, if you go back over there, somebody will be on there.
Yeah. So you okay, let me preface this a little bit. I'm in the market for an Ultrex because I can't stand it anymore. What trolling motor are you running, and how's it been working out for you?
The Ultrex is a little bit loud. I don't know what the other ones are like, but I don't I love the trolling motor. but September, I really had to stay off of it, and I was actually pushing off the docks a little bit. I actually, during that tournament, when those fish were so shallow on those docks, I would actually let the wind blow me into the dock, and I would push off of it and then flip into it, because that trolling motor can be really, really loud in shallow water. So that's the only negative thing that I have to say about the Ultrax. But other than that,
the head turning like the motor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, that trolling motor has been a beast. I mean, when you're out there drop shotting fish in that deeper water, one thing that I am adding to it is, for my Livescope, I'm actually going to add a separate mount to where I can keep the Livescope pointing, forward direction, or I can actually attach it to the trolling motor and it'll actually turn with the head also. Outboard and Marine, all Outboard Marine is the one making that. Danny Hahn, or David Hahn, I meant. He's actually making that, and it's going to be a really neat feature because, right now with the spot lock, I have that Livescope attached to the trolling motor shaft. So whenever I put spot lock on, that transducer's continually moving with the trolling motor. So I want it stationary sometimes so I can actually focus on a brush pile, and actually, it's not moving all the time. And when you have a windy day, you actually need to be stationary and have that thing pointing to where you're not constantly moving and losing the fish that you're trying to fish for. So he's in the process right now of making that. I have one of his old ones, but you actually have to move it with your hand. So, this takes away, you having to do something else rather than having your hand on your rod while you're fishing. So, that's just something to look at, but that thing is a beast. I mean, Pickwick, I had it down there. We had an extremely strong current. It's just a different animal. All, in my fishing experience, that was just totally a different animal for me. Going down there, and you have your trolling motor on high, and I mean, it's pushing you back. The only way to get into some of those currents is turn the big motor on, buckle up your life jacket, run up, and basically float back. It's kind of like walleye fishing, I guess, how they troll for it. But
yeah, right.
That was absolutely insane how, that trolling motor was on 10 and that current was still pushing you back. But saying that on a normal situation, I mean, it is phenomenal. I cannot believe that I did not have spot lock 8 to 10 years ago, or however many years they came out, 5 years ago, I guess, 4 years ago. But it's, I can't believe I didn't have it then. It's so beneficial. You're retying or whatever, you don't have to worry about floating into a dock or anything like that. Spot lock, and you stay right there. I mean, it's amazing on that aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, I messaged 4 different companies that sell trolling motors today while I was at work on my break, of course. So I just got 2 texts back from those companies on some prices. So I'm close. It's going to happen like tomorrow, probably. I'm just going to drop the money.
I mean, you're not going to go with the Ghost?
Man, the Ghost is another.
I heard that is like one of the quietest ones out there.
It's another $1,000, I think. And all I need is a 24-volt system. I mean, I know the Ghost is 36 or 24.
Right.
Transfer. I mean, the brushless thing's nice, but I still hoping that I can still have enough money left over to get some forward-facing sonar too, after I save up a little bit on top of it. So I'm trying to get 2 things.
So that's the story. Okay. Yeah. It's not all about the trolling motor anymore.
I got plans, man. I haven't bought anything in a while. I'm still running like 2013 Lowrance. I still got the Touch 2, the first Touch model, the HDS.
Well, I'm not going to buy anything for a while because you see what was sitting out there.
Yeah, so. You just got a new truck. DJ wants to know where the puppy's at tonight.
He would have the computer knocked off the table and everything else. He has to stay upstairs. We got a 9-month-old Great Dane.
It's a Great Dane?
Yeah.
Holy cow, yeah. That's a big dog.
Yeah.
Very big dog. We grew up, when I was a kid, my aunt that lives out in California, she had a Great Dane named Oreo, a black and white dog. And I just remember being 7, 8 years old, and that thing just right here on me, you know, and it jumped up on the wall, and it seemed like it was 6 foot tall.
It probably was.
It probably was. Yeah, it's just a massive dog. So just one of those you could get on its back when you're a little kid and just ride it like a pony. Big old dog.
Yeah. Aaron said, have you had any problems with your Ultrex? He said, mine's still in the shop wondering what was going on.
You know,
with his steering, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember what was going on with it.
Yeah.
It's not that old. I mean, there's always going to be
he just bought his boat last summer.
Yeah.
I had one issue with mine, and it's more abuse than anything. You know, one of the main reasons that I wanted to come on tonight, I was excited to come on, is my experience with the Bass Nation. So, you know, that's a really neat organization, grassroots, you know, organized by the Bassmasters. Phenomenal. You know, I'm kind of embarrassed because I didn't know completely what it consists of. And now that I've experienced what I have, I mean, I'm extremely excited about this year. So I belong to a little club called the Heartland Bassmasters. They're here in a neighboring city. It's DeSoto, Hillsborough area. And, you know, we only have about 14 members, 7 boaters, 7 non-boaters right now. We're open for new members, you know, boater or non-boater. You know, we just like to try having an equal amount. There are a lot of guys that fish the non-boater side that actually have boats that can actually go to both sides. But very, very grassroots organization for an inexpensive price. For our club, it's $30 membership fee. For MoBass, the state, it's $30. And for Bass Nation, it's $30. So $90 to start. But our tournaments are only $50 per guy. And we try to have 5 to 6 bass tournaments a year. And basically, we hold money back for that. And what we're trying to do is get to the state tournament. In the state tournament, what you're doing is you're fishing against all the rest of the Missouri clubs. And, you know, there's probably about 30 different clubs. And I think the last 2 years we have taken about 6 to 7 boats. And it's been an eye opener. I really did not know what this consists of. So back in 2019, I fished the state tournament at Lake of the Ozarks, and I qualified for the regional central division. The regional tournament, they take 10 of the Missouri boaters from each club, from the whole entire state, 10 boaters and 10 non-boaters. And we go to this regional event, the Central Regional. It's 8 states and 3 countries that we're fishing against. And that adds up to anywhere around 80 to 120 boats. Just depends on, you know, how many people show up. This year, in the 2020 event at Toledo Bend, the countries did not show up because of the COVID. So that only left like 80, I think it was 87 anglers, I think is what it was. So we went to Toledo Bend. I qualified at Lake of the Ozarks. Pretty neat little deal there. I caught everything on top water on a spook. And that was a phenomenal. It was the end of September going into October. So it was a really neat event. But I ended up in 6th place overall, made the state team, went to Toledo Bend. Day one, let me back up a second. In practice, I get down there. I did not know what to expect. I had 5 days to practice. Hurricane blows in. First day of practice are supposed to be like 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. 6 inches of rain is what they were estimating.
Wow.
So I noticed that on the radar, I kept on watching it. I did not make a room reservation because I didn't know what was going on. And then I waited till the last minute. So all these people from the coast were coming up north, and every hotel was full. So I get down there. I ended up having to stay in a little town of Joaquin, Texas, which was on the Sabine River, way up north, which was a blessing because I ended up fishing up there the first couple days of practice because the way the storm was blowing, it came across the lake about halfway and just kind of went to the east, and it didn't really affect the upper end of the lake too much. So in practice, the very first stop, I went in, flipped a black and blue jig with a sapphire trailer on a boat dock. The first stop, I caught a 5 and a 4 pounder, and I'm like, huh, this is interesting. So I start looking at the map. I realize that I'm 55 miles away from takeoff, and I'm like, oh man, everybody has warned me about the wind on Toledo Bend. You know, this is going to be ugly. I got to get down lake and try finding something closer to takeoff. So I went down and I actually found a couple on Mike Russell's Bag 5 baits, the XD5 and 6. I found a good little school, but it was getting hammered. The pressure was just unbelievable. So during tournament, I decided to run up to Huxley Bay area. That's where I started, and I went up a little bit higher each day after that. But I was just flipping this black and blue jig around and actually had a decent bag the first day that put me into 6th place. So day 2, you know, anything possible that went wrong that day. There's no way that I should have won that tournament after my day 2 performance. I lost 9 fish total. They just came unbuttoned. They were biting real funny. It was kind of that front material that came in from the hurricane. It was, you know, the 2 days afterwards, it affected it really bad. The picked a winner, Albert Collins, who's been to 4 Bassmaster Classics. He was picked to win this thing, and he comes in with only 9 pounds. So I went from 6th place to 16th. They take the top 20th for the last day. And I found one little area that I could catch some topwater fish in. And the wind picked up that second day, or the third day. And I tied on a whopper plopper and went to that spot and caught 2 5-pounders right off the bat. And I'm like, I got 10 pounds in the boat, and it's only been taken, I had over 10 pounds in the boat, and it's only been taking 10 to 11 pounds to win this thing each day. You know, the leader only had like 22 pounds. And I'm like, I'm sorry, bud. You know, there's 25-mile-per-hour winds, but we got to make that run. I know I can catch them up that river. So I ran all the way up there again in that wind, took my time, took me like an hour and 30 minutes to get up there. And I get up there and I go to the first dock and I pitch that black and blue jig on the back corner of this big old dock and catch another fish right at 5 pounds. And at that time I had 3 fish over 15 pounds. I was super stoked.
Wow.
So I ended up catching 8 keepers total. I ended up with 19 pounds, the biggest bag of the tournament by almost 7 pounds. And I won the Central Championship. So, you know, just that alone was a huge, huge success for me. You know, a lot of people in the past with Kenny's reputation, you know, he's a really good fisherman, but, you know, a lot of people just said that I always rode his coattail. So that right there was, you know, enough for me to prove to myself that, you know, I was decent enough to be able to compete with guys like that. I mean, you know, you start looking at the roster on that, and there's guys that fish the Open. There's multiple guys that made the Bassmaster Classic through this thing. And it's just such an easy avenue to the Bassmaster Classic. Unbelievable. So then I go to Pickwick Lake for the national championship. I'm looking at the roster, and, you know, Hellabass was there actually. So, you know, the roster was really, really stacked. I mean, I started some of these guys, you know, Albert Collins was there again because he qualified for his state and got to go. 48 anglers only. 3 spots go to the Bassmaster Classic. The top 3 guys go to the Bassmaster Classic. So you start looking at these guys, and all of them, Matt Robertson, you know, he fishes the Opens. He's on fire right now. He's won 2 of the Opens this year. He went to the Bassmaster Classic last year. He's going again this year. I mean, just, you know, all these guys that fish the Open, and you know, they're the top 10 in every division. And then, you know, multiple of them have been to the Bassmaster Classic. So, you know, being on a lake that I don't know was, you know, just really overwhelming. And then you start, you know, figuring out who these guys are, and it's like really overwhelming then. But, yeah, just that opportunity for 48 anglers, and 3 of them go to the Bassmaster Classic with, you know, I don't want to say little to no effort, but, you know, just a quick, easy avenue to get there. I mean, it was a phenomenal experience. But saying all that, on the way back from that Toledo Bend, we had 30 to 35 mile per hour winds. I ran it pretty darn hard on the way back because I knew that I had a big bag, and I actually left up there 20 minutes earlier than what I had planned. I had planned to fish another 20 minutes later, but with having 19 pounds in the boat, I decided to leave a little bit early, and I'm so thankful I did. My motor started making noise about halfway back because we had 25 to 30 mile per hour winds. Every 4 to 5 foot, the boat was coming out of the water, so I got the motor pretty hot coming back, ended up blowing the gear within a mile of takeoff. I ended up blowing the gear out the lower unit. And a guy from Arkansas picked me up. As soon as I came down off plane, I jumped up and started waving people down. And luckily, Brandon from Arkansas picked me up and gave me a ride back. I had 3 minutes to spare at that time to get back in, and he took me back in. I called the tournament director before we did all the transaction and all that. The co-angler didn't have calling balls. He actually forfeited his fish that he had. He had a couple fish, so it would have moved him up, got him a little bit better of a check. So I was thankful for that. But just a crazy experience, and just going from an all-time high to, oh my God, I'm not going to get back in, to a guy helping you out, a competitor at say the least, to be able to take you in and then you win the tournament. I mean, it's just a unbelievable feeling. But it's just a really neat event. I don't think anybody from Missouri has made it in like 30 years, but probably the coolest thing about the whole thing is the Toledo Bend tournament. Missouri Bass Nation actually gave me money, paid for my room, and they actually cooked for us like 3 nights that we were there. So, expense wise, they really took care of us. And, I basically paid for all my boat gas, they paid for my hotel, paid for my truck gas, basically with the expense check that they gave me. And then of course at Pickwick, they did the same thing. Pickwick being a little bit closer, only 5 hours away, I probably, but super, super neat event, but it was pretty neat. And, all that, and, like the Bassin Times, to be able to have my picture in there, and, Brandon Pollinek's on the next page over, it's just absolutely insane. So, for me, it was just a huge win in my fishing career, even though I didn't, succeed and make the Bassmaster Classic. But the good thing is I made it again this year. So I made the state team again this year, but, we're going to a little bit different lake that I'm not 100% comfortable with. It's Lake Milford out in the middle of Kansas. So it's a big smallmouth lake. And, I fish for smallmouth up in Canada, but, I can't say that I'm just a little bit nervous about it. So I've been doing my homework, and, I'm looking forward to that. I know what to expect now, and hopefully, I'll make that national championship and have a little bit better outlook on it.
So I gotta ask before we keep going, how many copies of that Bass Times do you have just kind of sprinkled? I'm sure your neighbors probably got them. You drop a couple off at the grocery store.
I tell you, man, I was really, so my buddy, John Lewis, he's been a longtime friend of mine, and he's actually in the Heartland Bass Club with me, but he has 3 boys that are also in the club. So he actually has 4 different copies of it. But I tell you, man, Bass was really, really stingy with it. I was trying to get one for my parents. It's probably the first tournament that my family has always given me a hard time about fishing. And, I've missed a lot of family events. I'm gone a lot on weekends and stuff like that. And this was probably the first tournament that they actually, were heavily involved. And, they had the Bass Tracker, and they were able to watch that updates daily. And I mean, it was really exciting between my family and Julie's family. I mean, the support and even the local support, just Festus, I was actually ran in the leader paper. John Winkleman, he actually ran a really nice article in the paper about it. But Bass was really, really stingy with those things. I mean, they want that membership fee. So, that I was hoping to get one to be able to frame it and all that. And and it was tough to get them, but I wish I would have had them. I probably would have bought 50 of them, and I would have given them to everyone.
That's really cool, man. That's really, really cool. That's a great story, man. I didn't realize that. Yeah, show that sucker off, man.
Yeah, I say one of the best things. I mean, the only other thing that I really want to achieve is a FLW All-American. I really like to do that also, but that win right there, I mean, I am a little bit embarrassed because I didn't know the details of it, and I didn't know what to expect. When they sent me that first check to go to Toledo Bend, I was like, oh, wow, man, this is freaking crazy. They're going to pay me to go fish. This is insane. But, I fished BFLs in the past, and I got second at Table Rock Lake, and, just the competition is stiff in that. I have a couple top 10s in the BFLs, but I don't know. I just got kind of burnt out in fishing a little bit. It became like a second job. Greg and I were talking before everybody got on, and we take the fun out of it sometimes because we do get too entrenched, and it does become, like a second job. And it's tough sometimes, but this has really put the life back into me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. My wife's probably up there cringing right now, but it's really put the fire underneath me again. And I really want to get back to that national championship. That was probably one of the most amazing things I ever did. But one of the guys asked about if I had any problems. So also during that long run back, I also did something to my circuit board on my Minn Kota, and it actually knocked it out. So the time frame that all this happened, we had like 1 week to practice before cutoff for Pickwick after that Toledo Bend. And, being off work for several days and then looking at the schedule, I'm like, I cannot get down there. There's no possible way. My work will fire me in a New York minute, so there's no way I could take off again and go down and pre-fish for Toledo Bend or for Pickwick. But there was no way I could have anyway. I guess I could have borrowed a boat or something, but I had my lower unit out. I had my trolling motor broke, and Dupo Marine, I mean, they absolutely took care of me. They went way out of their way. They had me a new lower unit put on that thing within 4 working days. I mean, it was amazing. Mercury had it in stock. They shipped it down. They slept that baby on, and I was back on the road in 4 working days. I took my trolling motor out to Tri-State Trolling Motor out in Wentzville. They had that trolling motor. I dropped it off on a Monday afternoon. They called me Tuesday morning and had that thing ready to go. So, that was I was super thankful for that. Everybody getting me back on the road, and then right before the Pickwick event, I had a big pheasant hunt planned with my brothers and my son, and that kind of affected my practice a little bit. But I couldn't miss that. So that was a pretty neat little deal. But it's I'm excited to get back down there again, and hopefully I make this national championship because I know what to expect now.
Yeah, I wish the best of luck there.
Heck yeah, I can't imagine having 19 pounds in the boat, knowing what it's been taking. And okay, so just that run by itself is nerve-wracking anyway, especially with the wind. And then
keeping the fish alive.
Then your motor starts making some kind of crazy noise. And then you break down right there. I mean, that tells me a lot about your mindset and how you're able to, instead of spinning out, just flip to what needs to be done right here. What do I got to do? You said you instantly started flagging somebody down with only a few minutes left. I mean, that all had to happen the way it happened, or you wouldn't have won that. I mean, that's an amazing story, man.
It was meant to be. There's things that you need luck on your side a lot of times in fishing. I'd rather be lucky any day than good.
Yeah.
And I'll take that any day. But, we've done some crazy things. We've had some crazy experience. There was one time my throttle cable actually broke at Lake of the Ozarks. And this was a summertime tournament where we had 4 and 5 foot rollers. And Kenny is bear hugging the motor, running the throttle because the throttle cable broke. So that day we had 2398 and got second place. Bill Davenport didn't even fish with Marcus, who, you know, two of the lake studs. Didn't even fish with Marcus. Marcus had something else going on. Bill drops 24 pounds to beat us by 1/100th of an ounce or 2/100th of an ounce. So yeah, but that was a phenomenal day. But I'm glad we got back that day too. But he didn't even know where we were going. I had to yell, "Stop, stop, stop!" Coming into PB2, you know, it was absolutely insane.
Yeah, I've had a similar story. We were down fishing Chickamauga in the regional, the BFL regional, and the guy I was jumping in the boat with, when we got down there, he was up in the parking lot. He was supposed to be in the water. I was just going to grab my stuff and go out with him, but he had the boat back up on the trailer, and he had grease up to his elbow, and he was kind of pissed off, and asked him what was going on, and he's like, "Man, my the cable on my hot foot broke while he was running about 60 miles an hour. It wouldn't, like when he let up on it, it stayed down. So he had to actually, I think he had to actually reach down there or pull, maybe he just slammed the throttle back off into neutral, but it was, you know, you got no brakes in the boat. He just had to like, just let the water drag him down, but he was coming in hot to where he needed to slow down. Mm-hmm. And he said it was scary. So he was kind of freaked out, and it was one of those deals where he had to put the boat back up on the trailer and try to find that part and blah, blah, blah. But that stuff happens, man. I mean, the more you're out in that big water, the more stuff comes loose and the more weird stuff happens. You got to be on your toes out there.
I'm staying out of problems with boats this year.
Yeah.
One thing about a 9.9, I'm usually only going 20 miles an hour. So it's
yeah. You can always run up on the shore. It ain't no big deal.
Right.
My disadvantage on that is my dad's a self-employed mechanic. So we were allowed to touch nothing growing up because we usually screwed it up worse, and he had to do double the work. So
yeah,
that's my disadvantage. So, you know, unfortunately, I'm not mechanical inclined at all. I'm good at selling flooring, and I like to think I'm good at fishing, but
I think you're doing all right, man. You said luck, but luck wasn't having 19 pounds in your live well. I mean, luck was maybe getting back, but you still had 19 pounds. If you're coming in with 10 pounds, that luck isn't quite as big a deal. Yeah. So good work on that. Couple more questions before we let you go. If you guys out there in YouTube land, you got anything else you want to ask Jay? Get it on here now. We're going to kind of wrap this up. We're approaching 2 hours. I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about Pickwick. I mean, you mentioned the current. What else did you think about the lake as far, did it fish similar to, say, Kentucky Lake? I mean, were you looking for the same kind of stuff that you would be looking for on Kentucky Lake, or did you, I guess what I'm saying is, were you looking for the offshore ledge type bite, or were you looking in the grass, or a little bit of both?
You know, I had some offshore fish located. When I was practicing, though, they were running about 40,000. And then the first day of the tournament, they bumped it all the way up to 86,000. So anything I had deep got pushed out. And unfortunately, I was 100 yards away from the winning bag, the guy that won it. And I was on fish, just the wrong size fish. You know, I probably caught 30 to 40 keepers a day. I mean, or not keepers, but shorts. And I just could not get a decent bite going. I had a lot of help. I fished I don't know what it's called now. You know, FLW's changed it so much, but it was back when I fished it, it was the All-American Fishing Series. It's the Costas or whatever they call it now. But I fished that as a boater back in, I think, 2007, 2008. And one of my traveling partners, Randy Haynes, who is basically the king of Pickwick, you know, he was a very good ledge fisherman. I mean, he basically put electronics and ledge fishing on the map. He was actually my traveler partner. We hit it off good. Our wives were nurse. You know, we were both in the flooring business, so we hit it off really, really good. So I was really looking forward to his help. And unfortunately, they just were not deep. And, you know, he tried helping me as much as he could. And they just were not deep. You know, the lake got really, really stingy. You know, it's kind of like Toledo Bend. You know, it's a bass factory of the world. You see all these big old huge bags checked in, you know, these big old smallmouth at Pickwick, and they just did not bite. You know, everybody struggled. except for the last day, the guy had, a big bag, almost 24 pounds. But again, it was a tough tournament, and it was only taking 10 to 11 pounds to lead that tournament the first 2 days, which, it's just frustrating that how many bags have I caught in my life that were, 10, 11, 12 pounds. And the day that I needed 15 bass to go to the Bassmaster Classic, and I could not catch them. That was the most frustrating thing about it. But I just never got on anything. It fished like Kentucky Lake in the old days when Kentucky Lake had grass. And, I tried punching, I tried frogging, I tried doing a lot of different things. And the only way I can catch them was on a chatterbait. And I just didn't catch the right ones, unfortunately. And what happened was I figured out they actually kind of were in a protected area. They got in a secondary channel, and that's where the guy caught them at. And he actually caught a lot of them on a jerkbait, but he did catch some on a swim bait on the main lake. The current settled down a little bit. He was able to get out there and catch them the last day. But that's how he caught most of them, was on a jerkbait, actually.
Well, that tells you that you were doing something right to be that close. It doesn't make it any better. I've been in a couple tournaments. Mike Marfell's on here, and we were fishing I think it was the Toyota Owners Tournament down at Table Rock. This would have been in 2018, 2017. And we went back in Long Creek, and we were fishing this channel swing point, and there was a set of docks on the opposite side of the lake. And we're back there about halfway. It's kind of narrowing down. It's more like a river back in there. There's one set of docks on the opposite side, and Mike's a jig freak. I mean, he'll put a jig in his hand. His two different baits will be a 1/2 ounce jig and a 3/4 ounce jig. That's what he likes to have on the deck. So he was staring at those docks before I even noticed they were over there. But we'd caught some decent fish off of this channel swing point, and that's where we decided to start. About 15 minutes later, this red gambler came in on pad and sat down and started fishing those docks. Well, long story short, at the weigh-in, the guys that won it were talking about their red gambler, and some people were asking about how fast that boat was. So we were 100 yards away from the winning fish too. Not that we would have caught them, but they caught them out of brush piles, and I'm pretty sure we could have caught. We would have been doing the right thing. Put it that way. I mean, you still got to get the bites. But yeah, it's something. It's good to know that you were that close, but
also it hurts.
It's so bitter, man. It's like bittersweet. It's like, God, I did something right, but I didn't quite do it totally right. So
the ups and downs of fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
that's for sure.
It's a game of inches sometimes yards.
Yeah, my famous line is, when I do bad, I'm having a yard sale when I get home. Everything's going.
But you're ready to go in the morning. I mean, the next morning you're ready to go do it again. I mean, it amazes me. You have a tough day out on the water, and you're like, God, I just don't know what I'm doing, what I miss, and then you wake up in the morning and you're ready to go do it all over again.
Yeah,
it's addictive.
Part of it.
So, all right, guys.
I'd like to mention one more thing real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I got a company I've been working with, Winning Edge Fishing, and it's really a cutting edge outdoor marketing company. And they're focusing on taking smaller companies and providing them like a big platform business. So Rob Rixford's his name. You can look him up on Facebook or Instagram. He's doing a really great job. He's got a couple of different things going right now. And he used to be a marketing director for the Blues. He actually worked at Bass Pro quite a bit several years ago as a marketing director also. But check him out if you're interested. If anybody has a small business, especially fishing related, he's been a huge help to Hogs Custom Bait. I mean, he's barely been promoting our stuff. A lot of the stuff that you've seen on Facebook has been a lot of his stuff. But, he did a really nice little clip about me being on here tonight. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see that, but it was pretty sharp what he did.
I didn't see that. I must have missed that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's sharp.
I'll go back and try to find that.
I'll check it out.
So what was the name of the company again?
Winning Edge Fishing.
Winning Edge Fishing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll be sure and put that in the notes down there.
Yeah.
Get going. Huh. Okay.
Yep, I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, man. It's been nice to hang out with you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to get out in the water and catch some fish together sometime soon.
Yeah, definitely. You may be disappointed.
From what I've heard, we're going to do just fine. And also that benefit tournament, we'll try to. I know it's a long ways off, but we'll try to make sure that we remember to bring that back up. Later, late summer, early fall, something like that, so they can have a really good turnout. Because that's a great cause, man.
Yeah, it is.
Those things like that are. I couldn't imagine, losing a young one like that. So it's great to have a nice fishing tournament in his honor.
Well, looky there. We see it now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. I see it now. Yeah, it's pretty sharp.
Yeah. I don't know about the pro part, but.
Hey, if the shoe fits, wear it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, he did a really good job on that. But
cool.
Yeah, we'll definitely. We'll share that up to our pages here.
Yeah, good stuff. So I think we answered all the questions, right? Yeah.
Yeah, everything's answered.
Yeah.
Set good.
If anybody has any questions that, feel free to reach out to me, especially on the Bass Nation stuff. I don't know. I probably shouldn't basically promote that too much because it's been a great avenue for me and I don't want too much competition in it. But
and also Hogs Custom Baits, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Facebook, I guess, or
yeah, we're on Facebook. We're almost done with our website, so we'll be having our website up. We got about 16 molds now, and we're doing a phenomenal job, man. We got it's just been amazing. We've been very blessed with that, and we started in April, and it's absolutely insane how much business we've done to date. We got some cool stuff going on, and we're going to continue to keep on building it. But we're really excited about it. I actually thought it would fall off the last couple months, but we've been rolling right along. So pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Mike wants to know if you came up for the Steve Earle show at Ricciardi floor covering a year or so back.
No, I sure didn't. Them boys are tough on me, man. That's a long drive home for me. So
I feel you, man. I feel you.
These day and age, it's a little bit tougher to hang out with them guys.
I'll put it this way. I'm lucky that I'm still working for the United States Postal Service.
Yes, sir.
We've had some fun times, man.
Yeah, I can tell you some stories. We went to Travis Tritt one time and I don't know how any of us made it home. Yeah. I think Dave Ricciardi was driving and I think we ended up downtown St. Louis driving the wrong way and it wasn't pretty, but we had a good time.
You were headed east, weren't you?
No, we weren't. No, we were drunk, so it was bad.
That's that luck you were talking about. Sometimes
yes, it was.
Luck comes in different ways.
Yeah.
So, well, man, we'll let you go, dude. It was good hanging out with you. And
well, like I said, we'll remember getting back on like late September, somewhere around there.
Yeah, hopefully I got another good story for you.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, we'll be in touch, Jay.
All right, thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks.
No problem. Have a good one. Have a good evening. All right, guys, that was a lot of fun, man. That story about the Toledo Bend, that's still, I didn't know that. God, I could not imagine.
Honest opinion, I would have probably gave up at that mile.
Yeah,
I don't know what I would have done.
I'm nervous.
You put your fish in the bag and swim back with them. I mean,
I'm nervous in a little Wednesday night or making it back to the boat right in time.
Yeah,
just I can imagine with all that on the line. That's cool. Great stories. So, man, great turnout tonight, guys. It's good to see a lot of new faces on there. I hope you guys will join us back next Monday. We do this every Monday at 7:30 Central. Next week we got a content creator, YouTuber called Bassgeek. He's from Georgia, Alabama area. And he's gonna be I don't know what we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna touch base with him and probably be a little bit of everything. So it should be a good time. And then the following week, we got a really big guest 2 weeks from now. We'll save it. We'll save it. But you guys will be surprised. This will be a good guest. He's out there in the social media avenue right now. We'll just keep it at that. So I'm excited about that.
A little bigger than we are.
Yeah, a little bigger than we are. Yeah. He does this for a living. So this is not just a side gig. But like I said, man, appreciate you guys coming on here. Hope we answered all your questions. You got anything else? I think we answered all the questions,
No,
right?
that's it. Only thing I got. Everybody have a good, safe, happy New Year's.
Yeah, be safe, man. Don't be stupid. We need you guys back here next Monday.
Yep.
Promote this show. So with that, we're going to let you go. Guys, have a good New Year's, and we will see you next Monday.
Yep.
All
See ya.
Peace.